Boston Marathon, and today we're going to talk to Mark. Mark is doing a little helping out of the crew at Newton, doing a little street team work today, and we're just going to get Mark's story about kind of his running, how it took shape, and how he got into Newton's. And yeah, I took a half hour off his marathon time. To be fair, he was running like 7:30 marathon before. Now he's running a 7-hour marathon. I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. It's like 8. So anyway, without any further ado, here's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for helping us out today. I appreciate it.
Me too.
All right, so we just discussed a little bit about how you got into Newton's. Why don't you tell us kind of and what I like about it, as I told you, is, you know, it's a very, your story is a very everyman story. It's like, you're not like the super elite guy that, you know, you're not running a 2:10 marathon.
No.
You know, you're just a guy, and that's great, because people think a lot of the time that Newton is in a very niche shoe. It's a shoe that you have to be some special run. Now, let me disclaimer real quick: all Newton runners are special. Just throwing that out there. But that you have to be, there you go, throwing up the heart. I like it. Just, you know, I liked your story because it is. You're a normal guy, you know, who happens to be able to run really fast. So, tell us about your running, how you got into running in general, and then how you got into Newton's.
All right. Running in general, actually, it just started maybe 4 years ago. My little sister, who's younger and also just a very little person, ran a marathon, and I thought, if she can do it and she's about a foot shorter than me, then anybody's got to be able to run. So I started. I tried running. I was not that successful with it. I was running in, you know, whatever sneaker I decided to pick up at the local sports store. I trained for my first marathon. I ended up with tendonitis in both knees. I ended up with tendonitis in one ankle, and I ended up with a stress fracture. You know, as I guess everybody does when they start running. At the same time, I had started to read Born to Run, a book that seems to change so many lives, and I got very curious about minimalist running, progressive running, forefoot, push-off, things like that. So I went down to the local running store once all of my legs had healed up, and
You have more than 2 legs.
I do. I can't really talk about that on your website, though. So went down there, and I was looking at some different minimalist options, and there were a bunch of guys off in the corner looking at these really bright, funky shoes. I had no idea what they were talking about or what they were looking at. It ended up being Newton. A guy talked to me for a couple minutes about it. Actually took a good chunk of time to explain it to me. Told me what they were, how they work, how they're gonna help transition you into that forefoot strike, have a faster foot turnover, make you a more efficient runner. He said, you know, there is a lead up to this. It's gonna change the way you run, and it'll take a while to get used to. And I thought, right, I probably have that long until my next marathon. Let's give it a shot. So I strapped on some Newtons, started running in them. You start short, and you get progressively longer and faster, quick. I was impressed. You know, the next marathon that I did decide to train for and complete, I took a half hour off my marathon time. I went from 10 hours down to 9:30.
There you go. That's awesome.
No, I did very well, actually. It was Boston a couple years ago, and I took a half hour off my time. And since then, so many people that I run with have been impressed by it. I've converted my sister over to them. A couple of my friends are now running in them. A couple of them actually were at this expo picking up a few extra pairs.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you have coming up this year?
This year I have a couple of 10Ks in the near future, and then the next marathon that I've got planned is the Marine Corps. So
oh, nice.
A little bit off, but
yeah, I hear that's a great race. I'd love to do Marine Corps.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Really scenic. Good stuff. What's your favorite pair of Newtons to run in? Favorite model?
My favorite model will be these right here.
There you go.
They're great, especially training in Boston. It's wet, it's cold, it's windy, it snows, you're running through puddles that are shin high, and so these give you all the same benefits, but they're a little bit more weatherproof.
Yeah.
They're better in the winters up here.
Yeah. And you're from this area, correct?
I am. I'm from Boston.
Yeah. And where do you like to get out and go run? I mean, do you go like up to the Berkshires or anything like that and go run, or you're pretty much a city running guy?
City running only because I also don't own a car living in the city.
Oh, well, there you go.
But about 3 years ago, all of my friends decided to change over from taking long vacations to binge drink. We now take long vacations to go on races and runs. So we've been to Chicago for the marathon. We've done a couple of other races. They've all been down to Jersey and Virginia, and we're traveling and doing that now instead.
Excellent.
Most of us in Newton's.
Nice. And where, like, if you had a goal race, like a life goal race or something like that, what's kind of like your wish list of races right now, or events, or just places to run that don't necessarily have to be races?
places around. Just anything out of the city. Every time I get to run out of the city, it's a treat.
Yeah.
You know, I've done the river so many times, and I've done through the Common and the Gardens and up and down, you know, Fort Newberry, Princeton. So anytime I get to run outside of the city, it's a treat. My little sister lives in South Carolina, so I get down there. We run on the ocean, and it's beautiful. And it's a treat. Yeah, there's no real race goal. I mean, once you conquer a marathon or two, you're not really looking forward to an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
Just,
no bad water for you.
Looking to run injury free, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now. It's great.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on getting injury free.
Thanks.
I think that's one of the people. You know, people balk sometimes at the price tag of Newton, and I get it. I mean, we get it. We have a premium product. It costs a premium price. And, you know, they're like, well, why should I buy this shoe instead of this shoe? And I say, well, why would you buy a Mercedes instead of a Yugo? But whatever. Not to call other shoes Yugos. No offense, other shoes.
Or Yugos.
No, or Yugos. Yeah, well. So, yeah, one of the things that, as I was just saying, is, you know, it's how much of a price would you put on being injury free, you know? And people, a lot of the time, they're like, oh, well, dude, it costs this much, and I just can't afford it. And I say, well, if you're more efficient, it lasts longer. How many miles do you get out of a typical pair of Newtons for yourself? Do you track miles?
I know that's a great question. I track miles, but I impulse purchase sneakers probably more often than I should. So,
there you go.
You know, I probably could get more miles out of my Newtons, but, you know, it just changes seasons, changing models, you go out and buy a new pair.
Right. But I mean, what I was kind of alluding to is it comes down to, well, what kind of a price tag can you put on being injury free? What kind of a price tag, you know? And I mean, it sounds like you were the doctor. Stress fracture of your shin. That's pretty serious, you know?
Yeah, I was spending some quality time and some quality money on rehab.
Yeah.
Lucky to live in Boston. I had access to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
Yep.
I was going in there getting e-stim on my knees, getting some massage therapy, getting taped up before I would go on anything from like 5 miles to 15. And, you know, the money and time that I've saved on rehabilitation, ACE bandages, ibuprofen, I'm great now. You know, it is worth the premium when you become that much more efficient and your body can really do what you're asking it to do.
And you work for LA Sports Club.
I work for the Sports Club LA.
Sports Club LA.
Yeah, so
not to be confused with LA Sports Club.
Not to be confused with LA Sports Club. Also, no offense to Yugos, I'm just saying, you pay a premium.
There you go.
I'm at the Sports Club LA. Great clubs. We're across the country in a few of the major markets and expanding. It's great. I'm in the health and fitness field, and so I get to speak to everybody every day about, you know, what their goals are, how they're getting there, and yeah, I do. I plug Newtons.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. Well, thanks so much for talking to us, Mark. Now let's go. We're gonna go. Let's see what time it is. We're gonna go. I don't know. My clock's on older time. We're gonna go and talk to see the clinic and talk to some people. And thanks.
Sounds fun. Thank you.